welcome back to another video, and today, well, we're going to be discussing a pretty interesting topic, and, yeah, anyways, here's a comment which mentioned that pretty much all the, species from the Dino Dana activity book will appear in Dino Dex, and, I think that's a pretty interesting theory, and I just kind of want to go through all the species in the book, and generally what my opinion on this is, and, yeah, the main reason why they believe that all the species will appear is since, there is an Ankylosaurus and a Dreadnoughtus in this book, which have both actually been confirmed for Dino Dex. So, yeah, I do want to go through the species in this book and just generally how likely I think they are going to appear. And I also don't have this book, so I was able to find some images online. I'm pretty sure I found some pages showing off all the species in the book. But, I do have some close-up pages which we'll go through first. So first, here's Ankylosaurus, as I mentioned earlier. And we actually have the page of the inside of the book here. And then we also have Carnotaurus, which is probably my favorite species in this book, and even if not all these species from this book appear, I would love to see Carnotaurus at least, because honestly, I just love Carnotaurus, one of my favorite dinosaurs. Next we have Aqualops. We also have Concavinator. This thing, which I never can remember the name of, that's like related to Sauropelta, at least it looks like a Sauropelta. Mapusaurus, and Mesospondylus. And then we have pretty much this page, which you can kind of see some species on it, but on the left side you can see Scansariopteryx, which I originally thought was a Yichi, but no, it's a Scansariopteryx. But anyways, yeah, we also, from starting at the top, we have Velociraptor, Utahraptor, Centaurosaurus, unknown, okay, I can't figure out what that is, Cerazenosaurus, Styracosaurus, Scansariopteryx again, unknown again, I also can't figure out what that is, Rhinorex, Pelecanmimus, another one known, and Australia, which I think is a pretty interesting, the Australia. If this theory is correct, then I think that's a unique choice. But anyways, here's a page showing off a bunch of the images. It's not the most high quality, but when I zoomed in, you can kind of... I think I figured out what most things are that are going to be in this book. So first we have, starting in North America, we have Ankylosaurus, Aqualops, Rhinorex, possibly Dilophosaurus, which any of the text that I put in blue is something I'm not 100% sure on, but I think I know what it is. So we have Dilophosaurus again, Styracosaurus, Utahraptor, the Sauropelta looking thing again, Torosaurus, and then moving down to South America we have Australia, Carnotaurus, Mapusaurus, Dreadnoughtus. Going up to Europe we have possibly what I believe is an Iguanodon, then we have Concavinator and Pelecanmimus. Moving down to Africa we have two unknowns, and then honestly you can't see it on this page, but I saw another image of it showing that the only other thing that you can't see on this map is Mesospondylus is down there as well. But anyways, I'll go over what I believe those two species are later on. But moving over to Asia, we have Gallimimus, Cerazenosaurus, Centaurosaurus, Gigantospinosaurus, Scansariopteryx, Velociraptor, another one known, and Dinochirus. So yeah, moving on to this page showing off pretty much all the herbivores in this book. We have Dinochirus, Mesospondylus, Styracosaurus, Dreadnoughtus, Torosaurus, which is pretty interesting, Iguanodon, Aqualops, unknown, Cerazenosaurus, Ankylosaurus, Centaurosaurus, Gigantospinosaurus, Rhinorex, and the Sauropelta looking thing. So, yeah, I think that's pretty interesting, but I'm going to go back to the map again, and I am going to explain the species that explain how some of these species are confirmed. Like, Ankylosaurus, Aqualops, we have images showing their names. Rhinorex, I believe there's a page, if you go to, like, Amazon, you can see a preview of the book, and I think it has actually Rhinorex's name in there, and also, if you look at the image, if you look up Rhinorex, the first image you find looks identical to the one in the book, so I believe that's Rhinorex. Then we have this next one, which is Dilophosaurus, which, if you look up Dilophosaurus, I mean, well, not if you look up Dilophosaurus, but I've seen on some other pages of the book, there's images of the thing that looks just like this one, and those also look like a Dilophosaurus, and again, it's placed in North America, kind of near Arizona, which is where Dilophosaurus is from, so I believe that is Dilophosaurus. Styracosaurus, we have the name. Utahraptor, we also have the name. This thingy, we have a page of it. Torosaurus, also, I didn't put it in this book, but I did see a page showing this image, and it's the Torosaurus. Australia, we also... Actually, I don't think I saw a page, but the person that commented that did actually confirm that that's Australia. Carnotaurus, we have the image of the page. Mapusaurus, also the image of the page. And Dreadnoughtus, you can see on the other page. And a few other pages, and also has been confirmed. Iguanodon, I believe it's an Iguanodon since it's the most popular Iguanodon from Europe, and one of the most popular dinosaurs from Europe in general. And I mean, of course, it would be a no-brainer to add Iguanodon. Next we have Concavinator, which again we have the image of the page. Pelecanmimus, I also could see part of his name, and then also that just is a Pelecanmimus. Gallimimus, I believe I actually kind of confirmed on one of the pages. Cerazenosaurus, if you go to the Amazon preview of the book, it does show Cerazenosaurus' name alongside an image of a Cerazenosaurus. Centaurosaurus, I believe there's another image showing off the name of Centaurosaurus, or at least partially. Then down below, the two unknowns, here in Africa. I believe one of those is a Cryptops or a Grugops, which I've seen a few other images of pages in the book, but it's in a Belosaur of some sort, definitely. And then below, we have some sort of Hypsilophodont, probably like Pegomastix or Hypsilophodon itself. So, yeah, I'm unsure what that is. Mesospondylus, which you can't see on this page, but, again, we saw the page of it earlier. Gallimimus, also, I believe we saw its name partially. Ceratosaurus, I already explained already. Gigantospinosaurus, again, in the preview, it has an image of a Gigantospinosaurus with the name Gigantospinosaurus next to it. Scanceriopteryx, we saw part of its name already. Velociraptor, we saw its name already. Dinochirus. Honestly, Dinochirus is just so weird looking, it literally cannot be anything else. And then the other, another Asian dinosaur, I believe is a Micropachycephalosaurus or a Microsauratus, though. Again, I have no idea. There's no really good images, and also we don't have the name of it. So, yeah. Generally, I'm going to go through all the species and see how I think they could play roles in the series. So first we have Ankylosaurus and Dreadnoughtus, which I'm not going to talk about since that we already have those confirmed. But anyways, first Styracosaurus I think really could work since it's a smaller ceratopsian, but unlike Cosmoceratops, it actually has really sharp horns, so it could probably be showing its defense. And also, it has a 3D model back in Dinodan for the Dinodan website, so I think that is a pretty obvious reason. So next we have Velociraptor, which we don't actually have any basic small dromaeosaurs since it'd be slightly bigger than Microraptor and Sinosauropteryx. Not Sinosauropter, Sinornithosaurus. There's too many feathered dinosaurs with similar names. But anyways, yeah, Sinornithosaurus is venomous in the show, and then also we have Microraptor, which is kind of basic but also glides a lot. So yeah, Velociraptor cannot glide unlike those other two, and it's smaller than Dromaeosaurus, so I think it could play a nice role. Dilophosaurus is a nice medium-sized theropod, and also just probably debunking a bunch of Jurassic Park myths about this animal, so yeah, Dilophosaurus would be pretty cool to see. Pelecanomymes, honestly, could be talked about as unique diet compared to other ornithomimids, since it actually is one of the only that has teeth, and also had an old Dinodan design. Utahraptor, it's the largest dromaeosaur, and it's much bigger than any of the other ones in the show, so it'd be awesome to see this guy, though I think it is just different enough from Dilophosaurus that it actually could stand on its own. Next we have Iguanodon, which, kind of just a basic hadrosaur, though if you really look in the series, they don't actually really have a basic hadrosaur besides Maiasaur and Ungrulia, which Ungrulia, they usually just they represent a dinosaur from the polar regions, while Maiasaurs usually just show dinosaur parenting, so Iguanodon would be a nice dinosaur just to use, and mainly just, whenever you need a generic ornithopod, though at the same time it's bigger than Hippodraco, and also it has the giant hands with massive thumb spikes. So, yeah, it'd be cool if they showed how Iguanodon defended itself. Anyways, next we have Dinochirus, which, honestly, there's a lot of things you can do with this thing, just generally why it looks so weird, what it would have fed on, how it would have defended itself. There's many things you can do with Dinochirus. Concavinator, again, I think it's a nice medium-sized theropod, though it would probably be bigger than Dilophosaurus and Utahraptor, so, yeah. Generally just also showing its display, since it has, probably would have had quills on its arms, and also it had that weird hump on its back, so it probably would be cool to explore what those are for. Therizinosaurus I actually don't really think would work in the show as it is, unless they redesign Therizinosaurus and make it its proper size. Then I think Therizinosaurus would work great in the show. Next we have this thing, which, we don't have any Ankylosaurs without tail clubs, and again, we're getting Ankylosaurus, so it'd be cool to see one without a tail club, and show how it could have used its side spikes for defense. Though I do wonder why they did not choose Sauropelta, because, Sauropelta I believe actually lived with Utahraptor, so, that would have been cool to see those two against each other, though maybe they just wanted to choose a more unique species. Next we have Australia, which I also don't think is a good fit for the show, since we have Spinosaurus, and it makes no sense for Australia to be here. Since, it's kind of just Spinosaurus. In fact, it actually may be a Spinosaurus. We just don't have enough evidence to prove if it is. So, yeah. Maybe it could be focusing on, is it just a Spinosaurus or something like that. Australia, again, I don't think it's too much of a good fit. Mapusaurus. Honestly, unlike Australia, I think Mapusaurus would fit in great, since it is very different from Giganotosaurus being a bit smaller, though it's still would be one of the largest theropods in the show, and also they could explore the theory of it maybe being a pack hunter, so it could kind of be like the Albertosaurus, except much bigger. Next we have Gigantospinosaurus, which, we only have Stegosaurus and Kentrosaurus, so Gigantospinosaurus honestly has a lot of free room to work with. But I believe it's smaller than those two, so yeah, that honestly kind of just frees a group up for itself. Next we have Centaurosaurus, which again, the only other hadrosaur in the show that I can really remember that's large is Corythosaurus. And Corythosaurus probably, since it's mainly used to show the sounds that hadrosaurs can make, Centaurosaurus probably didn't do that, so again, it could probably work as a more basic hadrosaur, but also could just show that hadrosaurs could defend themselves with their size alone. So yeah, honestly that would be a pretty cool use for it, and also kind of different than a brontosaurus and slightly smaller. So yeah, I think that could be mainly the use for Centaurosaurus, and also just generally does not appear in too many things, so it'd be cool to see. We also have Rhino Rex, which I think they mainly chose for its name. But, yeah, Rhino Rex, another basic hadrosaur, probably used interchangeably whenever they don't want to reuse the other ones too many times. Next we have Torosaurus, which I think would actually, even though it looks very similar to Triceratops, it actually has a lot of different uses. Which, first thing you could use it as a swap out for Triceratops every now and then, but the main reason is because, well, Triceratops is, well, Triceratops is more for fighting. It had a solid frill and had solid horns, while Torosaurus had a much more fragile frill and a much larger frill and more fragile horns. So, it could honestly show the differences between the two and how you can actually tell the difference between the two. And it could show Torosaurus using its frill more for display and horns for display, while Triceratops could be more of a fighter. It also could have an episode like trying to see which one is would have been just better, showing off both their attributes. And again, showing off their differences and what makes them similar. And also they could maybe touch on the theory that Torosaurus is a larger species of Triceratops and come to the conclusion that it is not. They're two different species. And yeah, anyways. Next, Mesospondylus. We don't have any prosauropods, so, this guy would work great since we have no other sauropodomorphs. Next we have Scanceriopteryx, which at first I thought this guy would have clashed, especially when I thought it was I thought this was a Yichi, but no, it's Scanceriopteryx. I looked it up, and this guy is much smaller than Yichi, and much smaller than any other dinosaur in the show, so honestly, there's a whole bunch of things they could do with this thing, since they can literally put it anywhere, pretty much, since it's so small. Aqualops, I mean, honestly, Aqualops, we don't have any small ceratopsians besides Psittacosaurs, and this guy's even smaller than that, so Aqualops would be pretty cool. Also, it'd be cool to see Aqualops actually inside the characters' houses, since they like to do that with prehistoric creatures sometimes in the show. So, yeah, I think it'd be cool to see Aqualops inside the house, and seeing just generally trying to get it out of the house, and seeing its attributes and what it would do. Gallimimus, we just don't have any medium-sized Gallimimus. We actually have no Gallimimus, so, yeah, generally Gallimimus would be a nice flocking animal to use. Carnotaurus is Carnotaurus. It just needs to be here. First thing, it has the tiny arms, which it can explore what those are for. It can explore what its horns are for. It could go through what it could have been so fast for. Honestly, could have been what its skin is like. Maybe comparing different dinosaur skin, trying to see which dinosaur is the fastest. Carnotaurus could be there. Generally, Carnotaurus is just such an interesting animal. I think it'd just be perfect for the show, and hopefully it gets in. And then here are the miscellaneous, which I actually don't know what they are. First, we have the African Abelosaurid, which I'm just going to refer to as Rugops what is it? Not Kermitops. I can't remember what the other one is. Cryptops? Yeah, Cryptops. So, yeah. I believe that this guy just would fit in since we don't have any Abelosaurids in general, especially small ones, so I think this guy could work in the show. Microceratus or Micropachycephalosaurus, I think it actually clashes with Aqualops, and I don't think those two could both work in the same show. Then we have the Histolophodon or Pecomastix. Generally, this thing is just so weird, there's a lot of things you can do with this thing. So, yeah. Now that I've gone through everything I want to discuss, do I think that all these species will appear? The simple answer is no, but there's a reason why. I do think that there's probably two reasons. Either this is just a list of species that are popular and kind of fit with the franchise, so they decided to put them in this book, and some of them will either end up in Dino Dex, since again, there's a lot of species that would fit in the series, or this is just kind of more of a coincidence that they just happen to pick two species that fit in the series, and again, some will make it in, some won't. Or maybe this is just generally a list of species that they had planned for the series, and they just kind of picked some from here. But who knows? Honestly, I think many species in this book would make great roles, but I don't think all of them will appear. There's just too many of them. There's more species in this book than brand new species that usually appear in the season, especially since there's only 13 episodes. We definitely can't fit all these in, especially if we want to actually show them in the spotlight, especially not even considering all the old species. This would probably at least not quite double it, but still add a considerable amount of species to the series. And again, not even considering the fact that this does not include any non-dinosaurs. And they usually like to include more than just one non-dinosaur, because they only have two so far. And usually they can, in Trek's Adventure, I believe they added like 4. In Dino Dana, I think they added even more than 4. So I think it would make no sense if they just added new dinosaurs and stuff. So I generally do think that some of these species actually have a really good chance of appearing in the series, though I don't think all of them do. Especially since there are some that are really similar to each other. I think you could probably cross one out of each of those out and maybe would equal some that would end up in the show. But yeah, again, I generally do think that some of these species will appear in the series, but I don't think all of them will. But again, we don't have anything official, though the series is coming out next month and we don't really have much news on it. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next video, and goodbye.